There's a lot of big names. A lot now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a mock draft of the lottery picks, the first 10 picks. I'm not going to do. Now I'm not gonna. I'm also not going to. Let me say this. I'm not going to do trades because I don't know. I'm not going to say, oh well, at the fifth pick they're going to trade. I'm not. I don't know because the draft is unpredictable until you get there, or unless a team leaks something. It's pretty much unpredictable. I'm also not going to do all 30 teams. I just don't feel like doing that. But there are some really big names and some. This is a deep draft as far as you can get people in the 15, 16 that while they won't be, I don't think franchise changers, I think that they will be big for their teams. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm going to do a mock draft of the first 10. And let's start with Detroit. Detroit's pretty easy to me. Now, I don't know if you remember, but remember before the NFL draft, you heard a lot of teams say, oh, well. No, you heard reports saying, oh, well, I don't know if the Jaguars are that sold on Trevor Lawrence. They may go with Zach Wilson. Like, bro, nobody in their mama should ever believe no story like that. Just like no one in their mama should believe that Detroit Pistons are not going with Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham is the best player in this draft by a wide margin. And unless you trade the number one pick, which I don't see them doing, they're going to. Hell, they're going to take Cade Cunningham at number one. Cade Cunningham at Oklahoma State was incredible, even though they didn't win the national championship, of course. He was the best player in college basketball. It really wasn't close. He has the most upside, in my opinion, of all the players in this draft. He's to me a shorter Ben Simmons, but he can play the 1 through probably the 4, depending on how you draw it up. Cade Cunningham is the best player in this draft, and Detroit would be stupid not to take him number 1. So I have him going number 1. Houston at number 2, that's a different story. Now, there's a player that I think is the best at number 2, and that's probably Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley is a big that is, he's lanky. He can put the ball on the ground. He can score. He's an incredible player. The problem is Houston doesn't really like bigs, and Houston's philosophy is run and gun, 3-and-D, and while Evan Mobley will be good at rim protecting and he can shoot the 3 from time to time, he's not the most reliable 3-point shooter, and he's not really a run and gun type player, which is why I think that Houston's going to go with Jalen Green, who is in the G League right now from Ignite. Like a lot of people before choosing the G League, he was projected as a number 2 or 3 player in the country, and Jalen Green has incredible bounce. He's an incredible scorer too. Like, he would be good for Houston. Now, we don't know what's going to go on. We know John Wall more than likely is probably out of there. So I guess they're going to try to build a team around Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., and probably Christian Wood. But and Christian Wood pretty much plays as their center, even though he's not really a center. So we'll see how it goes. But I think that because of Houston's style and how they play, they're going to pick Jalen Green at number 2. Number 3, for some reason, Cleveland, for some reason, loves bigs. I mean, they had Kevin Love, they had Andre Drummond, they have now Jared Allen. I think they're going to pick, at this point, if they don't trade it, they're going to pick the best player available, and in my opinion, the best player available. Not to mention, you still have Colin Sexton and you still have Darius Garland, so I don't think they're going to go with the guard position. Now, of course, we've heard reports that more than likely they're going to try to trade Colin Sexton. If that happens, who knows? But I think they're going to go with the best player at number 3, and to me, that's Evan Mobley, still available. Again, Evan Mobley is a rim protector. He's a person that can put the ball on the ground. He's not really like a KD type, because I don't think his offense is that developed. But let me see. To me, he can be like a not the personality, but he can be like a better Kevin Garnett as far as, he can put the ball on, he can still score. He's just not like a Kevin. He not bing 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 you to death. So, I have Cleveland going with Evan Mobley, and Evan Mobley more than likely can play the four, and you have Jared Allen play the five. That'd be tough. Toronto, I have Toronto going with Jalen Suggs, and I have Toronto going with Jalen Suggs because we saw what Jalen Suggs did in Gonzaga. Not to mention, I don't know if Kyle Lowry is going to be there next year. And with that, Jalen Suggs can play a little bit of he doesn't really have to play the one because you're going to have Fred VanVleet and whatever you get for Kyle Lowry. But outside of Kyle, they don't really have much offense outside of Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam. And while you have a good player in OG Anunoby playing defense, you want a player that can put the ball on the ground and go get you a bucket, and that's what Jalen Suggs is. So I have Jalen Suggs going to Toronto. Orlando, there's so many directions Orlando needs to go in. You have Mo Bamba, you have Jonathan Isaac. Is one of them going to get traded? We don't know. Wait, did they trade Isaac? I think they might have traded Jonathan Isaac. But you do have Mo Bamba, so I don't, you give up Evan Fournier, you give up what's his name, you give up Aaron Gordon. There's a lot of directions they need to go in. So I think they're just gonna get the best player available, and to me that's Scotty Barnes, that played for Florida State. He's a long player. He has an incredible wingspan. He needs to refine his offensive game a little bit, but he's a raw talent and he's incredible at defense. I don't know the direction Orlando needs to go in, so that's why I said I think they're just going to pick the best player available. So I have Scotty Barnes going to Orlando. Oklahoma City, I think they're going to focus because they did just get Valanciunas in the trade with Memphis. I think that they're going to focus on a guard because I don't know if Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be there because they've been trying to shop him. I don't know what they're going to do. So I think they're going to go with James Bouknight because, I'm not saying he's the best guard, but you don't know what and he's more of a defense, but they don't really have a offensive-minded guard outside of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and I think that James Bouknight will pretty much solve that. So, not to mention Oklahoma City isn't really close to winning anything. So I think they're just going to get one of the best players at the position. So that's why I have going to OKC. Golden State at number 7. Again, this pick may be traded. I don't know. A lot of these picks may be traded. I can't really foresee that right now. So I'm just gonna go with what I think. And what we saw with Golden State is when Steph Curry went to the bench. Now, of course, we understand that Klay Thompson was injured, but when Steph Curry went to the bench, Golden State's offense plummeted. Even though you had Jordan Poole, even though you had Andrew Wiggins, even though you had Kelly Oubre, but he was in and out the lineup due to injury, the offense plummeted. And you want a player, to me, you want a guard that can, you don't need a big because you have James Wiseman. You really don't need a forward because we're going to see what happens with Andrew Wiggins and Andrew Wiggins is pretty much there for another year or two, but we don't know what's going to happen with Kelly Oubre. So you want a guard that can not only stem the tide, but a guard that can at least score because Jordan Poole's not reliable, even though he's an okay player. He's not really reliable. Damian Lee is not reliable. Kent Bazemore is not reliable. So, like I said, you're gonna want a scoring guard. So, in my opinion, I think if Golden State does use the 7th pick, they're gonna pick Davion Mitchell out of Baylor. Davion Mitchell, to me, is probably the best guard available. He can score we saw what they did in the national championship. Him and Butler. I think that they're not only can he score, but he's a good defender. So, and that's, as we know, Golden State guards outside of Klay Thompson, that's what they struggle with. Not to mention, you don't know what you're going to get out of Klay Thompson coming back. I hope that Klay Thompson comes back better than ever, but he's coming off of 2 straight injuries. So 2 back-to-back injuries, major injuries. So you don't really know what you're going to get from Klay Thompson. So that's why I think they're going to go with Davion Mitchell. The Orlando again at number 8 via trade. I think they're going to go with Jonathan Kuminga. Again, it's no offense to these players, but Orlando, there's a lot of directions they can go in. Like, what are they going to do with Markelle Fultz? Should they get a guard? There's just a lot that they need to figure out. So I think that at that point, you're going to get, like I said, the next best player, which is Jonathan Kuminga, in my opinion, who plays for the G League at this point. The Kings is another team that the Kings at number 9 is another team that has a lot of directions. I mean, what are you going to do with Buddy Hield? A lot of people are saying he's probably going to get traded or leave. What is De'Aaron Fox still in the team's future? What are you going to do with? I mean, Marvin Bagley hasn't really worked out due to injury. Like, there's a lot of things that the Kings have to deal with. So I think you're going to get the best player at this position, in my opinion, and that's Franz Wagner, who played for Michigan. He's a what, 6'6", 6'7", can shoot the ball. He's a good defender. Like, I don't know what the Kings do, because there's a lot of directions they need to go in. You know, it's funny. I always think back. Remember when Jalen Rose was doing the draft, and I don't remember the team, but it was like teams needs. It just said everything. Like, they need a lot of things. So I think the Kings are gonna get Mo Wagner. And at number 10, you have New Orleans Pelicans. They just made a trade with, I believe, Memphis, and the Pelicans, to me, you need complementary pieces that can surround Zion. And we're hearing, Lonzo Ball is linked to a lot of trades. They did just give up Eric Bledsoe, but Eric Bledsoe's been garbage for the last few years. So I think to me, they're going to get the best player, but not the best player at Zion's position. I think that's Josh Giddey. Giddey. He is a 6'6", 6'7" point guard, pretty much. And while he is foreign, he's able to distribute the ball. He's not the greatest scorer, but he can give Zion the ball. And if you're thinking about trading away Lonzo Ball and pretty much starting over start solely building around Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram, then you're going to need a guard. So I got Josh Giddey.